Hey everybody, Rowan Smith with the Mortgage Center. I want to talk about large mortgages. Different cities across the country face very different property values. I mean, Vancouver, Toronto versus somewhere in Manitoba or whatnot could face a tenfold price difference. So when someone's buying a home in Vancouver, I often will hear people remark, well, how did that person get that mortgage? How did they get it? How did they get it approved? And they're looking at a home that's 1.8 million bucks, and they know the person only put $400,000 down. So how did they get that $1.4 million mortgage? Well, for starters, they probably had a heck of a lot of income, a lot of job security, and a lot of fallback position. That's other assets, things like RSPs, shares in other companies, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, all the likes of that type of thing. So in the event that something goes south on the mortgage, they can always go back to those fallback position resources to draw funds to make the mortgage payments. So it's more financial depth. So if someone you heard of has a 1.4 or just basically anything over $800,000 of mortgage, they probably are very financially sound and have very good income. Now where this comes into play is when you're looking to buy a high-end home, well, the rule is 5% down. So most borrowers think, well, if I can put 5% down, then I should be able to qualify. And when you get up that high, and I'm talking amounts 800,000, 900,000, up over $1 million bucks, you're not really just facing one person who has to approve that deal. At that level, you've got to get managerial approval at the bank. You probably have to get approval at the insurer. If it's CMHC insured, you're definitely going to have to get managerial approval at that level. And if it's even a bigger mortgage, $1.5, $1.6 million, it's going to go to the national director. So there's a lot of hurdles to jump through. So if you're looking to buy a larger, or rather a higher end home, you're going to want to get more days for subject removal. Now typically I ask my borrowers for 4 to 5 business days. It's Saturdays and Sundays don't help us because the banks aren't working on those days. So if you write the offer on a Tuesday, get till the following Monday in order to remove your subjects. That's for a standard purchase. If you're purchasing something that's a high-end home where you're going to need a mortgage in excess of $800,000 to $900,000, if that's the situation, you better get 10 business days. Usually the sellers of those homes understand that putting financing together for a home of the magnitude you're purchasing is more difficult, and getting longer subject removal periods of time, even in the hot market in Vancouver, hasn't been that difficult if it's justified. So if you have anybody looking for a high-end home, I can help them arrange the financing. Sometimes we can dot our I's and cross our T's in advance of them actually writing the offer so that it's much smoother and we have a clear picture of whether or not it's going to go through in the first place. For the Mortgage Center, I'm Rowan Smith.